Now, Donald Trump hoped to destroy Kamala Harris in their one and probably only debate before America's presidential election. But the former president struggled earlier today against a well-rehearsed Harris and two very hostile debate hosts. This was about his best moment, Harris unable to give a straight answer to the key question for many Americans struggling with the cost of living.
We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics and also unions. She just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it?
That sounds all right, but this was almost Trump's worst moment when Harris hit him on his stand on abortion.
A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term? They don't want that. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law.
And this was perhaps even worse when Trump still wouldn't admit he'd lost the last election.
Perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling.
Now, it's true that Kamala Harris just talked in well-rehearsed slogans, little stories, and almost no policies. And it's also true that the hosts were incredibly biased. Boy, did they help her. They kept steering the conversation to topics that were bad for Trump and corrected him at least 4 times, although I have to say Trump was a fool to give them the chance, like when he launched this attack on illegal immigrants let in under Harris.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well, I've seen people on television.
Let me just say here, this is the
people on television say my dog was taken and used for food.
On the other hand, those moderators did not fact-check Kamala Harris even once for all her falsehoods, like when she falsely claimed Trump called fascists good people. She falsely claimed that he threatened a bloodbath if he wasn't elected. Or this about the January 6th protest at the Capitol that she blamed on Donald Trump.
On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died.
Complete myth. In fact, the only person killed was a protester. Joining me is Sean Spicer, the first White House spokesman when Donald Trump was president. Sean Spicer, great to see you again. How do you think the debate went?
Look, I think President Trump landed a couple blows in this thing. Early on, he really got the message of immigration and the contrasting of his record versus hers. This was a 3-on-1 debate. I've been saying for a while that I thought ABC had gotten the memo that they had to do everything to come after Trump. I hate to say I was right, but I was. The issues, and I was writing these things down: January 6th, Obamacare, race, climate change, no discussion. Tomorrow, by the way, Andrew, is 9/11 here in our country. It's a day that will live in infamy in our country, and not one question about our military, our national security, the fight against terrorism. It was unbelievably tilted against Donald Trump by ABC News and the moderators. For those people who are watching that might remember Candy Crowley, she was a former CNN host who very infamously played the role of fact checker during Mitt Romney's debate with Obama. Well, David Muir outdid her tonight. The fact checking, which was false, was so one-sided. It was literally their attempt to go after Trump was like nothing I've ever seen before in modern history.
Yes, and absolutely no fact-checking of Kamala Harris, who probably told even more whoppers. I thought it was incredible. What did you think the best moment for Harris was?
You know, I think she landed a couple of lines where she got him to talk. So right out of the gate, Harris was asked this question about are Americans 4 years later, are they better off or not? That classic Ronald Reagan question. She avoided the question, and then Trump took the bait. I think right off the bat, he should have said, my record as president was X, yours is Y. This is why you're not better off and why we should go back to my leadership. He started talking about, her issues that she had brought up. And again, she even talked about her passion for small business. She's never actually held a private sector job. This was an opportunity for Trump, the businessman, to talk about, again, his record. So right off the bat, I think it was interesting how she obfuscated, but he missed, I think, a couple key opportunities where he really could have hammered home her extreme positions, the record of her, and frankly, her lack of any kind of private sector experience was a big contrast with him.